Hello everybody, my name is Alex Merced from alexmerced.com, and what I want to talk about is the cost of living. At the end of the day, people are having a rough time. People are having a rough time paying for education, making ends meet to pay for housing, paying for healthcare. All these things really put pressure on people's day-to-day life. So everyone is in a struggle to look for more wages. They're looking for more hours to work. They're looking for bigger raises. The problem is that's not dealing with the underlying problem, with the cost of living. The problem is that the costs are increasing so much, and it's not because of natural sort of price increases because things have become more scarce or other types of market factors. A lot of this is just due to government intervention. And if you address that, then your costs go down. You don't need to work the extra hours. You don't need to work yourself to the bone to make ends meet. And at the same time, you're not putting a pinch on businesses and forcing them to commit their shrinking profit margins more and more to labor costs. Labor and capital can win when government pulls out. Now, how do you do that? And how is that the case? Well, part of it is taxes. Okay, at the end of the day, when you tax, the more you tax, I'm not saying we need to go get rid of every penny of taxes tomorrow, but we obviously tax more than we actually put to productive use via government. There's a lot of money that is wasted, a lot of policies that are counterproductive at the federal, state, and local levels that can be changed, that would reduce the amount of taxes necessary and also free up productive powers in the economy, whether there's zoning laws at the local level, different regulatory laws at the state and federal level, and prohibitions that just basically distract law enforcement from dealing with real crimes like murder, rape, theft, etc. So there's policies that can change that'll lower the cost of government so you can lower that tax burden, because that tax burden does push up the cost of things, also puts pressure on basically how much you can hire, how much you can invest in your business, and also makes it where it's harder for people to be customers of businesses because they have less money in their pocket. So you have less money for the business to spend on labor and on growing its business because it keeps less of its profits, but also has less profits because it has less customers. So you get hit several times with taxes. But then government lending programs also have this effect where basically it creates an ability for people to sort of, without checks and balances, bid up the prices of certain inputs, such as healthcare, housing, education. Particularly in housing and education, we've seen this result where basically loans for housing, where basically in the 1930s and 40s we created the whole idea of a 30-year mortgage, while the person who could afford a $10,000 house on 5-year mortgages beforehand can now afford a $30,000 house on a 30-year mortgage. So then what happens is that since they can borrow more, since they're borrowing it over a longer period of time, house prices keep getting bid up, and now people who are entering the housing market now gotta borrow like $500,000 or $1 million plus to buy a house. And this is after they've already borrowed 6 figures to graduate from college, because the same thing happened in college. We made it easier and easier to borrow money without any kind of checks and balances, without any kind of underwriting process to assess the risks of these individual loans. And basically people were able to bid up the price of school. And oftentimes schools realize that you can borrow more money, so they raise their tuitions commensurately. So basically you have to borrow more and more and more to pay for your education. And you graduate, you have to borrow a whole lot more to go pay for housing. And then on top of it, you're told you have to pay for healthcare, which for some people, healthcare ends up costing like 25% of their income. And if you're not familiar with all the reasons why healthcare costs so much, particularly in the US, you need to read the book, The Primal Prescription. The book is called The Primal Prescription. It'll help break it all down for you. So that way you can see why. But bottom line has a lot to do with just sort of getting rid of all the market mechanisms from the market to help basically speed up innovation, productivity, so that way we can provide more for lower prices. You kind of eliminate those factors, read the book, The Primal Prescription. But bottom line is, by fixing the policies in those 3 areas, you can lower the cost of healthcare, housing, education. And that's some of the biggest costs in a lot of people's lives. A lot of times, most of your paycheck is just going to paying off loans for your housing, for your education, and making a payment on your healthcare premiums. And then basically, it's a little bit that's left, and that a chunk of that gets taken away from taxes, and you're left with just a little bit of money, hopefully enough to pay for your Netflix and Hulu account, so that way you can just stay at home and binge watch TV shows because you can't afford to do anything else. Yeah, you might get a raise, but that raise will get taxed, and you're still not fixing why healthcare is going up so much, why housing is going up so much, why education is going up so much. So they'll continue to eat up your income. So address the problem instead of the symptoms, and we'll all have a better life to live. People will have greater opportunities, and we'll have a more robust economy for it. My name is Alex Merced from alexmerced.com. If you enjoyed this video, please share it, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the Facebook page, follow me on Twitter, and check out libertydeal.info for several ways to support the efforts to cover the cost of everything that I do. Thank you very much. Have a great day and enjoy.